Hello everyone, welcome back to another NR format video. So today we're going to be looking at a bunch more replays from NR format from the last week. And this first replay is brought to us by Deck Devil Vigio. So they're on the bottom playing a 45 card deck against Not Bizarre on the top playing what looks to be a Regenesis Materiactor deck, 40 cards. So they won the coin toss and chose to go first. Let's see what they do. So the Regenesis monsters were released in the latest pack, and they basically have the gimmick where if you control a body with 2500 attack or defense, which is the XYZ armor torpedo, you can just special summon them, and both of them have like really good effects. So Dragon can pop a back row, and Warrior can bounce a monster. So with the Materiactors, you can easily pump out a armor torpedo and then special summon both your Regenesis monsters. So not a bad engine at all. Deck Devil, okay. So they set all their back row and they immediately go into the wonky quartet with the Humanoid Slime and the Silent Angler. So Dragon is gonna banish the Dinomicious and End Phase gets to add itself back. Wonky though has 3 materials now, so and hits 3 materials as well. So there you go. It blows up, gets rid of the 2500 body, so now Bizarre cannot summon the Regenesis monsters anymore. Holonoids deals with the Toy Vendor. Dinomicious deals with the Dolphin, so no advantage off of the Fluffle engine. Roland does trigger though, they do get a copy of Boline. Like Devil's just gonna go to battle phase, hit in with a Paleozoic. They do have a copy of Torpedo Takedown in the graveyard, but I guess, yeah, Wonky is a Earth monster, so can't use it just yet. MST hits the XYZ Revive Splash, which is going to revive the Wonky, so we have Wonky back online. Here's Boline, it's immediately going to get hit by the Primite Howl, but Bizarre does have the Fluffle engine though. Do they not have a Fluffle Wings? Oh, doesn't seem like they do. Okay, so they could have Toy Vendor discarded the Regenesis Dragon, but I guess they want to keep the card in hand for Dinomicious. Just gonna walk over the Holonoids, and they do get their Boline back. Standby phase, Wonky triggers now. Hits 2 monsters, also hits DD Post. Dinomicious will deal with the Dinomicious. They do get to add back. Now Wonky triggers again. It's 2 monsters, so it has 4 monsters under it right now. They are gonna Lost Win the Boline and chain their own Paleo and just tribute summoning their Dragon. Okay, still can't deal with the Wonky, but the Wonky has 4 materials, so Deck Devil has to be careful here. Searching a Warrior with the Roland. Wonky triggers, does hit monsters, so now it blows up on Deck Devil's side of the field. Here's right hand shark and left hand shark now. Goes into Nyarla, okay. Nyarla adds a water monster. And now they can use the Revive Splash. Okay, that is really cool actually. So Nyarla can discard any number of cards to increase its rank. So they discarded 1 card, so it became a rank 5. Then it can attach any material from the graveyard, and then it becomes that attribute. So they attached a water material, so this became a water XYZ 5, and then they can now use the XYZ Revive Splash to rank it up by 1. So they were able to make the Wave Hiking Caesar, which is insane, you know, in NR format. So just gonna walk over the Regenesis Dragon and pass turn. We do get to see Roland trigger and Dragon trigger. There's Toy Vendor. Can they find a Wings? They cannot. They do have another Toy Vendor though. Do they find the Wings here? No, they do not. Okay. So this is like the problem with these Regenesis monsters, is that once you no longer control a 2500 body, they just become like, you know, they just become bricks in the hand. So that's like the downside of these cards. They're amazing when you can easily special them, but if you don't have access to a 2500 body, it's just useless. However, the Torrential is gonna make short work of the Wave Hiking Caesar, but they do have the Torpedo takedown to draw 2 cards. They're also gonna go righty-lefty once again. And just gonna go for the Gagaga Samurai for a game, I'm assuming. Yep. And yeah, Bizarre sees it's coming, and that's the game. So, amazing duel, and I really like Deck Devil's deck. Especially the way they used Wonky to essentially mill their deck. So yeah, let's get into the next replay. Alright, so the next replay was submitted to us by Triple Snackers on the bottom here, playing the Magnet Warrior Rock deck, and they're against Tropic Birds on the Insect Mill deck. So, if you remember, all of these Electromagnetic Warriors have the same effect, where they, on the opponent's turn, they contribute themselves to summon another Magnet Warrior. And they basically play like a rank 4 strategy, but Tropic Birds is playing Predaplants, which Predaplanting can place a counter on all the monsters and they all become level 1. So this is like a hard counter for Triple Snackers here. They can't go for any rank 4s under Predaplanting. So just gonna attack. Fetch 2 Torrential and passes. They draw into the Banksy Ogre. This is insane. So this is like the main way they can go into their Synchro pile, the Predaplant deck. Now they're gonna revive the Bioblist, and with the 6 and 1 they can go for the Empress. Right? Do they play it? Well, they only play the 1 Synchro 7, but you can also go for the Synchro 7 plant monster, the Empress, which can revive the Banksy Ogre. So now Triple Snacker is gonna activate the Magnet Warrior, chain the Torrential. I'm gonna go for Epsilon as well, but the Banksy Ogre still plays his counters, so now they become level 1 once again. Normal summon the Spino Dionea, hit over, allows it to special summon another Bioblist from the deck. Gonna go into the Vitus Swordsman. Just searches a Saracenian and passes. The Magnet Warrior once again tributes itself to summon another Magnet Warrior from the deck. They're gonna go for the Beta, add the Epsilon. Now they drop the Red Lotus. Hits over the Vitus Swordsman, tries to attack directly, but Saracenian triggers to special summon itself. And it has a second effect where after damage calc, it can destroy the monster that battled it. And also has the graveyard effect to search any Predaplant card. End phase, Vitus Swordsman does come back to the field. So at this point I would say Triple is starting to fall behind, even though they do have a Torrential though, so they're not completely lost, but they do need to get some advantage in, because Tropic Bird is just going to keep searching these Predaplant cards and running away with the advantage. Red Lotus hits the Bioblist. Bioblist does not trigger, so Tropic Bird is basically out of targets at this point. I'm guessing they play like Visteria Foe, and their whole plan is to shuffle back these cards with Visteria Foe, so they don't have... Yeah, they just don't have any Predaplants left in the deck. Which is a problem, because now they can't even go for the Predaplanting, so Triple Snaggers is able to go for a rank 4 play here, which is the Wonky Quartet, and this card is what's going to turn the game. The Wonky hits 2 monsters now, ready to blow with just 1 more monster off the top of any deck. MST to get rid of the Lost Wind. Passes turn, standby phase. Hits 3 trap cards, so does not blow up. Now Triple Snackers is in trouble. Torrential gets rid of the rest of the board. Draws a Wonky, but hits 3 back row as well, so still does not blow up. So now it's on Tropic Bird's field, and this Wonky is getting big. Like, it's already up to 4,400. And with the 3 cards off the top, it will go up to 5,600. So not lethal. Does hit the monster, so Tropic Bird is down to 300 life points. Does not have access to the Predaplant engine. Now they do, though. The Wonky is what allowed them to find the copy of Visteria Foe. So now their Predaplanting is live. So can Tropic Birds play out of this? Triple has also found his Infernoble engine as well. So Red Lotus gets rid of the Goki Pole. Goki Pole did not trigger, by the way. So they only play the 1 level 4 target for Goki Pole. Or I guess They play two, so they play the Retaliating Sea and the Kamakiri Man. Both of them already in the graveyard, so cannot trigger the Gokipo. They will use the Howl targeting the Kamakiri Man to steal Triple's monsters. So they'll just steal the Red Lotus. Now, Bowline drops to the field. They'll just activate another Howl, steal the Bowline as well. Triple goes for a Haggard Lizardos, which gets hit by a Fit of Planning. That is weird. But Tropic Birds does get to activate their Magicaloidal Soul. So all of these monsters are level 1 now, besides the Magicaloidal Soul. So they can go for like a Synchro 4 or a Synchro 5 play. Gonna try to hit for game, but they do go for a Synchro 4 play. And synchroing with both of the monsters that they stole, so big advantage swing towards Tropic Birds here. Triple is just going to summon back the Red Lotus and searches for another Red Lotus as well. Tropic Birds, though, they are slowly starting to build advantage here. Revive the Bibelist, go for a Haggard Lizardos. Pastor now targets the Red Lotus. Puts the Red Lotus to 0 attack, goes for the Selene Snapper. Activates the Vistidia Foe to try and banish some cards from the opponent's graveyard, but immediately gets responded to by the MST, so they can't even trigger their own Paleo as well. So this is pretty big. It's gonna attack over the Red Lotus. Triple does not have any normal monsters in the graveyard, so cannot summon this Red Lotus. Just gonna reset the Vistidia Foe as well. Here's Gigantis, though, immediately gets responded to by a Morella, which dumps... Morella dumps a Sulliek. So, Tropic Birds is at 300 life points. Triple Snackers just needs to find 300 damage somehow. So, I'm guessing they're gonna... Tropic Bird was afraid of the Lizardos activation, so they're just gonna use the Sulliek now to search for a Havness, which they do, yep. Now, Haggard Lizardos activates, hits the Selene Snapper, puts it down to 800 attack points. The Havness finds another Magicaloidal Soul because the one they used last turn got banished. And they can now summon that Magicaloidal Soul as well. Okay, so if Tropic Birds is playing the Synchro 6, which is... I forgot its name, but it's a Machine Synchro 6 that basically... It's called Powered Insectron, which negates all damage for the rest of the turn. So they're gonna go for it, but they go for a Synchro 7 instead. So their other options were either a Merry Melfies and the Samsara Sorocat or a Gaia-Morph, which don't really help them. So they just go for the Cyflame Lord Zeta to out the Gigantis. The Haggard Lizardos is gonna crash with the Selene Snapper. But Triple had the Roland in hand, boosts the Haggard Lizardos by 500, and that is just enough to go for game. So, really well played by both sides. Tropic Birds almost pulled it back. But yeah, Triple Snagger showing the power of the Wonky Quartet once again. Completely swung the game by itself. And yeah, another great game. Let's move on to the last replay. Alright, so this last replay is submitted by Mr. Mono, playing the Insect Mill Hydrolander deck. They're playing in the Japanese daily tournament. I can't pronounce what this name is, so just help me out in the comments. But they are playing a Generator Good Stuff deck. So they opened with the Generator boss stage, which is limited to 1 copy. They searched it off the Planet Pathfinder. They also found the Kashtira Ogre, which then searched for preparations. They have a Deindomishis as well. So Mill is notoriously bad against Kashtira, specifically because not only can the Ogre, start stacking your deck, and Mill does not really top deck that well, but preparations triggers every time you activate a trap card or effect. And the Mill deck really likes to activate trap cards, so this is like a very, very strong opening from the opponent against the Mill deck. They're gonna top deck a Havness. That does help them. The opponent is gonna summon the Utgarda and start summoning the tokens, so they can quick effect banish any cards. Mono normal summons this T-Squatter, goes for the Imduct. Oh, the placement! The opponent misplayed with the placement, never summoned to these zones. under the EMZs. Now they're gonna get punished. So the Imduck basically says that if it battles a card that it points to, it can just destroy that card. So the opponent is forced to use the Utgarda, but now Mono can chain the Havness, and the opponent, anticipating that Mono might hit some sort of graveyard trap effect, immediately flips up the preparation. So Mono does hit the Marilla. Now Ogre activates, banishes a Biblis off the top, so these cards get banished face down, and there is no way for Mill to recur these cards. Woodgarda now just hits over the Havness, and now this is where what I was talking about, right? So Kashira Ogre attacks, and they can basically see the top deck, and they can, you know, they can start stacking the deck. So if they see that the top deck is a good card, they can just banish it, which they do here. So now Mono is top decking a Wisteria Flow, which isn't useful in this situation, especially against preparation. However, the opponent will out their own Ogre. This is not a good decision by the opponent. I would have just passed on that. I'm guessing they want to go for the Selene Snapper here. But Mono is now going to punish them immediately, go for the Dinomicious on the boss stage, trigger their own Marilla. The opponent is going to respond with a Dinomicious of their own, but this is also a bad Dinomicious. Why would you do this? They immediately go for the Selene Snapper, trigger their own, trigger the Retaliating Seed to search a card, and now they also get to trigger their Paleo off the Marilla activation. But yeah, I feel like the opponent just fumbled here because they had the board, they just needed to pass, and they decided to do whatever this was. But now Mono, though, they are back in this duel. Well, they're not completely back, though, but end phase, they do get to search for a backup team, so they can search for any outs. Draw into a Predator Planning. Backup team activates, finds a Magicaloidal Soul, which is going to activate immediately because they summoned a Paleo. Go for the Herald the Pure Light. So they have like 5 monsters, and they're also gonna get the 1 monster off the soul. I'm guessing they just want to shuffle back the Havness to get 5 monsters with different names. Yep. So now the Orbital Hydralander is alive, and they're immediately gonna drop it onto the field, beat over the Selene Snapper. Now Orbital Hydralander activates, doesn't hit any duplicates, gets rid of the preparations as well. The opponent has an Infinite Antline in hand. They're gonna find a Black Horn of Heaven off the top. But this is now the power of the Hydralander. You cannot top deck a trap card because the Hydralander will immediately deal with it. Mills 3 cards, does not hit a duplicate. Also hits a Goki Pole, which is gonna search an Arbalest, which Arbalest with Goki Pole in the graveyard is a 1-card Selene Snapper, and the opponent has nothing. They're also going to reset the Wisteria Vow, and the opponent has seen enough, and that is the game. So Orbital Hydralander is starting to see more and more play in the meta, and I do like that. The card is just such a game-winning card if you can successfully drop it onto the field. So yeah. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the replays, please be sure to hit the like button. Also, if you like the content in general, please hit the subscribe button. It helps out the channel a lot. And yep, that's it for today. Adios.